Good morning, everyone who listens to my 4 listeners on this podcast. Today, I have a very special guest, my friend Sarai Speer. She is a hairstylist and she is amazing. She's in, I believe, Kansas City, correct?
Correct.
And she's married. She's got 5,000 dogs.
Oh,
Yeah, 5,000. What are they? Wiener dogs?
they are wiener dogs. We're a house full of wiener here.
Oh my gosh, they're so cute. I heard about Sarai. I don't remember exactly how, probably through like the Goonies, something on hair world. And if everybody already knows, I'm a hairstylist. So I started following her and I really liked all your tutorials and things like that. And then I saw that you posted a class and it was COVID. After COVID, I hadn't taken anything in so long. And I was like, I needed a class. So I signed up. Where did I go? Vegas?
Vegas. Yeah.
And I met Sarai and she started her whole class off sharing her story. And I was like tearing up. I was like really just like blown away at your vulnerability. I felt like I was in church, like sharing your testimony. And I grew up in church. So to me, I was like, what are we doing? But she was, saying the F word all over the place, just being her real self. And I really fell in love with you. And I just want to say, I don't have a story like yours at all, but it really resonated with me. And I appreciate you sharing your story with hairstylists, because like we were talking before, the hair world is very superficial a lot of the times. And it's like, look at me, I make so much money. Look at me, I dress cool.
Yeah.
And nobody really knows what's going on. And people have this fake world out there presenting to everybody. And I just think it's really important to show other people that we're real and normal. And so I messaged her. I was like, I know you're like a really cool, popular hair person now, but I have like a tiny podcast and I was wondering if maybe you'd be on it. And she's like, fuck yeah, let's go. So I just want to say thank you so much for coming on my baby podcast.
I love it. No, I love it. And listen, we all have to start somewhere. And
Yes.
I'm honored to get to share this space with you. This is really cool, friends. And I'm proud of you for doing this. This is awesome.
Thank you. My main goal is to really just I think my tagline is to educate, empower, and encourage other women to be vulnerable, authentic, and share their stories and just be the best version of themselves. And I felt like you had a really powerful story that I wanted to bring to my audience. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, the little nitty-gritty that I did not talk about yet, and share a little bit about your life.
Well, I got a shit ton. How many hours do we have? How many episodes is this going to be?
Podcast if we want.
So my name is Sarai Speer. I've been a hairstylist for about 20 years. I live in Kansas City with my husband, and I wish we had 5,000 wiener dogs. We only have 4 currently, but I'm trying to get a brood of them.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I'm trying. So I grew up in a pretty small town in a very religious upbringing. I was taught from a young age that we don't talk about our feelings, and we look like the perfect family. We always had to keep our shit together, right? My mom was very concerned with how we appeared. And so I grew up in a poor to middle class family, not emotionally intelligent parents. I love them dearly, but a lot of their own stuff they didn't work on. They still haven't. I don't know if they ever will. That's not my journey to go on. My dad would say things a lot, like his favorite thing to say to me was "suck it up, buttercup." And I always thought that was I hated it when he'd say that. I'd cry and my dad would be like, girls don't cry. Suck it up, buttercup, you know? And I've always had what I call big feels. I always thought there was something wrong with me because I feel things so deeply. And it turns out I'm what they call a psychic empath. I cannot future tell. That's not what it means.
Yeah.
A psychic empath means in my body, I actually physically feel things from other people. So I can't watch scary movies. I can't watch slasher films. there's this thing that happens in my spine. It tingles and it feels like a lightning rod in my spine. That is my empathic connection. So growing up, I'm feeling all these feelings and I'm being told at every turn, we don't cry, we don't talk about our feelings, we don't. So I grew up and I never felt, how do I say this? I never felt like I belonged in that small town. I was like, my family's weird. Yeah, they're my family, but like, I always just felt different and weird. Right. So I got married at 19 because I grew up in a fucking small cow town and that's what you did. So I married my high school sweetheart and I started drinking. At the age of 19, I was too afraid to drink beforehand because when I was living with my parents, my dad ruled with an iron fist. So I started drinking, fell in love with it, started partying, moved up to Kansas City when I was 21. And I was like, hell yeah, I'm moving to the big city, dream to come true. It's not that big. It's like 2 million people. And it was a big deal to me. So I got divorced for the first time at 21. And you want to talk about feeling like a failure. I was raised that you don't get divorced.
Yeah.
You work through your problems. I hadn't given it enough effort, blah, blah, blah. Then come to find out, my dad had been married twice before my mom. And I didn't know that. Like my family doesn't talk about shit. We sweep everything under the rug, right?
Yeah.
So I felt like a piece of shit for getting divorced at 21. I got married again at 21, a couple weeks later. I had a lot of self-esteem issues, a lot of things from my childhood where the self-talk that I had was, you're a piece of shit. You're trash, you're garbage, you're not good enough. And I was never enough. I was never pretty enough, smart enough. I was never enough. And so this was the underlying current for my whole life, right?
Yeah.
So I got married at 21 and decided at 24, I needed to do something with my life. I was dropped out of college. I changed majors 8,972 million times. I couldn't figure out what the fuck I wanted to do. And so I remember talking to my husband at the time, Chad. Him and I are still best friends, by the way. He's an amazing human. Yeah, such a great guy. And he was like, well, what if you did real estate? And I was like, well, I could do real estate, or I could do hair. Like I've always had funky hair. I've always been interested in hair. And he's like, I don't know. I think you'd be really good at real estate. Now, I know your viewers can't see me, but I'm a 6 foot tall woman. I am tattooed from head to toe. I have throat and neck tattoos, hand tattoos. I didn't have any of those when I was thinking about real estate though. So it would have been doable. So I decided, fuck it. I'm going to go to hair school. And I went to hair school and I immediately fell in love. I was like, these people are fucking weird. They're my people. I fucking love this. And I got to do really cool shit. So I lived what most people probably conjure in their brain when they think of a hairstylist. I lived that hairstylist life. I fucking partied. I went to fucking clubs. I was fucking wasted all the time. I don't even remember a lot of beauty school. I was partying way too much. I worked as a topless cocktail waitress to put myself through school. I was living it. I was loving it. And I graduated and decided to 6 months after, this opportunity came to where I could own the salon I was working at. I never wanted to own a salon. It just fell into my fucking lap. I'm 25 years old at this point in my life, running a fucking salon with a business partner. Neither one of us had a fucking clue what we were doing. So I was drinking, I was partying. My business partner was like a partier. And for a couple of years, I kept the business running. I was doing accounting. I was doing taxes. I was being the good kid. I was doing what I should have fucking been doing. And I started to get resentful. My business partner was always out partying and blah, blah, blah. So one night we were at her place getting ready to go out, and she had some drugs. She had cocaine, and I'd never seen it, never been around it. And I was like, oh, hey, can I try that? And she was like, no. And I'm like, okay, fuck you. Like, you get to run this business and do this. I can do it too.
Yeah.
So 27 years old, I tried drugs for the first time, and that was it. That was it for me. It wasn't like we had a torrid love affair.
Yeah.
Drugs and I managed to become an absolute cokehead. I ended up, my business partner asked me to leave about, I don't know, a year and a half, maybe 2 years later. Coke wasn't enough. That wasn't doing it for me anymore. So I got into meth. I never, ever thought I would end up being a meth head. I would be a junkie. And I lost my business, started dating really shitty drug dealers who abused me, treated me like crap. I lost my car. It got repossessed. I couldn't make my payments. I lost my house in a span of 3 years. From the age of 27 to 30, I ended up on the streets as a fucking homeless junkie. Never saw my life going this way. So at 31 years old, I knew I had to get my life together, but I couldn't do it by myself. So at 31, I met my now husband, who was a drug dealer, but he wasn't like all the other dickhead drug dealers. I was like, this guy's like super nice and he's kind. Like, I'm like, you're not a fucking drug dealer, bro. So we ended up, he was such a huge help for me in this time period of my life. And we were friends for like, I don't know, a year before we started dating. And we would hang out all the time. And I was at a really low point in my life. And the salon I was working at the time, the salon owner was a drug dealer, very big drug dealer in town. And so there was a lot of shady shit happening there. And it was just not the environment for, a druggie to be in.
Yeah.
So I'll never forget, it was New Year's Day, 2012. I took the owner's car. He said I could run to the liquor store. We'd been up all night partying and we needed more booze. So I ran to the liquor store, some shit. And I had no business driving. I plowed an entire line of cars. I'm talking like 10 or 15 cars. Ooh. And I just sideswiped them. So I pull through the intersection and I'm panicking. Like, I'm sobered up now and I'm realizing I'm going to go to prison. Like, my brain goes, you're going to fucking federal prison for this shit, bitch.
Yeah.
So I abandoned the car. I ran and I called David. I did not know who to call. And I said, I did something really bad and I don't know what to do. And he said, well, where are you? I said, I'm hiding behind one of those big electrical boxes up on this hill. And I don't know what to do. I can hear the police sirens. And he's like, stay there. I'm going to come get you. So about 15 minutes later, he comes up the hill. I hop in the car and he takes me back to his place. And he's like, okay, like from the beginning, what happened? He calms me down. And he looks at me and he goes, we gotta go to the police station. You got to turn yourself in. And I was like, no, fuck you. Absolutely not. No. And I remember fighting. And finally, he's so calm and cool and collected. And finally I was like, okay, fine, cool. I'm going to jail. What the fuck ever. Let's just get this over with. And I think I vomited from nerves like 3 times on the way there. And so we get there and I said, here's my name. Here's my driver's license. Here's what happened. And I was like, I'm assuming I'm going to go to jail. And she's like, no police report has been filed.
Oh.
And I was like, huh? And she said, yeah, no police report has been filed. Well, I didn't even think, like, at the time, he's a big ass drug dealer. He's not gonna get the fucking cops involved in this shit. Right. So I got very lucky. I did go turn myself in. My shit was, my salon shit he had packed up, put on the sidewalk for anybody to get. David grabbed it for me. And for the next 2 weeks, I didn't know what to do. I was in this, I don't want to live this life anymore. I don't know how to get out of it. I've seriously fucked up. I've got to find a salon, but I've got to be able to hold a salon job. And so I was in this weird holding pattern, and I spent like 2 weeks, 24/7 with David. And I remember looking at him one night, and I was like, we've been together 24/7 for 2 weeks, and I haven't wanted to fucking punch you in the throat. So I think that means we're dating. And he was like, okay. So that's how we started dating. And we saved each other's lives. The long and the short of it is, a couple months later, he proposed to me, and I was like, cool, but I'm 31. This will be my third marriage. I've got to get my life together. Bro, you're too old for this. I'm too old for this. And so we made a deal that we would get out of this shit together. So he stopped selling drugs, got his life together. I lied. I did not. I could not stop this shit on my own. And so when my drug use went down and it was just enough to get me by, my alcohol addiction kicked up. And so for the next 5 years, I became an alcoholic, and I was a super high functioning alcoholic. I drank from sun up to sundown. I would get up in the middle of the night. I would drink. I would make a promise to myself every single day. Now, mind you, I'm still working as a hairstylist, and I'm drinking like this. So you can imagine I didn't have a super steady clientele, right? So my drinking is out of control. I get blackout drunk. Friday, March 3rd, 2016. I get blackout drunk at work. I say some shit. I do some fuck shit. I don't know. I don't remember to this day. So I get a text message on Sunday from the owner of the salon, which oddly enough was called Rehab Hair. Okay. Put that in your brain. And she said, I need to meet with you tomorrow morning. But in the meantime, I need you to think about what this salon means to you, what this salon family means to you, what this job, this career means to you, and what your friends and family mean to you. I fucking knew. I knew I was caught, right?
Yeah.
So I'm freaking out all of Sunday. I don't say shit. I have no idea what the fuck I'm going to do. And Monday morning, I walk in to Rehab Hair, and the salon owner, before I even get in the door, she just looks me dead in my soul. And she says, what the fuck is going on with you? And at 35 years old, I knew at this point I needed help. I had never asked for help before. I thought I could do all this shit on my own.
Yeah.
And I was so afraid that if I cracked open and I told people what I was really going through, they would leave me. They would say what I felt. I'm a piece of shit. I'm garbage. I'm trash. I don't deserve to be loved.
Yeah.
I made a decision to just be honest for the first time in a really long time. And I looked at her and I said, I can't stop drinking on my own. And I think I'm an alcoholic. And she looked at me, and I thought for sure she was going to say, pack your shit and get out. And she looked at me, and she came and she hugged me, and she said, then let's get you some help. And I just broke.
Oh, man.
I bawled, I sobbed. I had never felt this unconditional love and support like this. And so I started cheering with her, and she said, does your husband know how bad this is? And I said, I don't know. And she said, can we call him up here? So I called my husband. He took off work. And for the next 6 hours, I shared with the two of them every detail of when I drank, who I drank with, where I stopped, like you name it, I got it out. And I felt for the first time in my life, this collective soul breath.
Yeah.
I didn't have secrets anymore. And so I agreed to, I went to AA. The next day I did the 30 and 30, I did 90 and 90. And one of the things that kept me accountable, because I decided then and there, I have been bullshitting myself my whole life. I've been running, I've been hiding, I've been coping, I've been drowning things out. I decided I want to do things differently.
Mm-hmm.
And so I knew that if I wanted to do things differently, I had to act different. I had to think different. I had to change everything. So I shared my location with my husband and my salon owner, and I gave them carte blanche at any time to give me a breathalyzer, because
Mm-hmm.
I was sick and fucking tired of being sick and fucking tired.
Mm-hmm.
Years of running and abusing my body and lying. I reached a breaking point.
Yeah.
And at 35 years old, I got clean and I got sober. And it was so incredibly difficult. It was so hard. And one of the things that I didn't tell anybody until this last year was I threw myself into work. Work kept me clean. Work kept me sober.
Yeah.
I had been struggling with an eating disorder since I was 14 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So we get drugs out of the way. We get alcohol out of the way. What comes rearing its ugly fucking head?
Yeah.
I thought I could keep it under control, just like I thought I could keep my drugs, my booze. So yes, I got clean and sober. I became an absolute workaholic. They call that transferring addictions, I now know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Super common with addicts, okay?
Yeah.
But I threw myself into work. And I am sitting here having this conversation with you now because I was a workaholic. I am not that way anymore. I've gotten out of hustle culture. It was my coping mechanism.
Yeah.
But in the background, my eating disorder is slowly rearing its ugly head to the point where, once again, I come to a crossroads in my life last year. I am constantly sick. I am constantly working. I'm traveling. I'm educating. I'm doing all these things, but I know that my eating disorder is killing me, like physically, mentally, spiritually killing me.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember having a massive breakdown. I think it was like November or December. It was after I got off like my tour schedule, and I knew I had to make a change. And I ran away to the mountains with my husband for a week, no cell phone. And I decided then that I needed to go to treatment.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember him looking at me and he's like, I'm so proud of you. This is it. Like, this is the final piece of the puzzle for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I made that decision in November. I went to treatment in February. It was the hardest thing I've ever done in my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
Even combining overcoming drugs, homelessness, alcoholism, if you put all those together, overcoming an eating disorder has been the hardest thing I've ever fucking done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And through all of this, I didn't really do the work I needed, right? I really didn't dig in. I was like, I'm sober, I'm clean, but I was working. I still wasn't feeling my feelings, and I got big feels.
Yeah.
I wasn't doing any of the work that I needed to heal my shit. And it wasn't until I went to treatment that I broke. I cracked like Humpty fucking Dumpty. I cracked open,
Mm-hmm.
and all my shit came spilling out. And that's where I learned vulnerability and courageousness and talking about your feelings and your emotions and all that shit.
Yeah.
That it took me 42 fucking years to get there, but I finally fucking got there. And now I'm like, let's talk about feelings. Let's talk about vulnerability.
Yay.
Yes. We love feelings.
Yes, now we love them. Oh, I remember when you went to the treatment and I was watching some of your journey on there and I was so proud of you. I was like,
Thank
oh,
you.
she's doing it. And I'm so
Yeah,
proud.
I wanted to run away. I mean,
Yeah.
I got there and immediately they take everything. They take your phone, they take your smokes, they take fucking everything. It's like goddamn prison. And I thought, I can't do this. I can't, maybe I'm not that sick. Maybe I don't. And one of my friends was like, well, if you weren't that sick, do you think the insurance would have admitted you? Do you? And I'm like, okay, fine, fuck you. And
Yeah.
truly, I found shit in my soul that I had buried. I knew that I am tenacious. I knew that I'm a fucking fighter, but I found a new level, and I found healing there
Mhm.
and fucking forgiveness.
Yes.
Because my whole life I've been running from myself. I've been running from my emotions, my feelings. And like, I have fucking affirmation cards everywhere, literally everywhere. I've got a deck of 20 right here.
Yeah.
I started doing stupid affirmations at the request of my therapist. And I was like, this is dumb. This is fucking dumb. Like, I didn't realize how bad my self-talk was. I'm a piece of shit. I'm a garbage. I'm a trash panda. This was second nature to me. So when I really started paying attention to it, I was like, holy fuck. If my best friend said this shit about herself, I would be like, hold up, bitch.
Exactly.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Not allowed.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
But for my entire life, this has been on loop, on replay.
Yeah.
And I finally feel like I was able to get off that loop. I was finally able to unplug from the matrix when I went to treatment, and I started working on my mental health, and I started, really diving deep and doing these affirmations and self-love. And, I thought self-love, I'll never get there. It's impossible. I'm
Mhm.
too damaged. I'm too broken. I've done fucked up shit. Like the shit that I did for drugs and for alcohol, like it would make your toes curl.
Yeah.
And so I thought I had to forever punish myself for that.
Yeah.
And I've learned that that's not the fucking case.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't erase what I did. It doesn't make it any less impactful, but I am no longer that person. And I no longer have to stay stuck in that fucking shit show rat trap,
Yeah.
life and thought pattern.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sometimes I think we think we're the only ones that have negative self-talk. And I think
Yeah.
it's interesting. Because I feel like I had a lot of that myself. And I think sometimes growing up in a religious environment will instill that in you very early on. So it's interesting. I didn't know that part of your story. Because I was raised extremely religious as well, like in cults and shit like that.
Yeah.
So from the very beginning, like you're just a gross little sinner. And
Yeah.
you were born a sinner, and
Yeah.
everything you do is bad, and we're here to break you and make you a better person. So I think that stuff starts so early, and we
Yeah.
don't realize how it affects us. So it is really important when you start to switch the narrative in your own self and start to believe that stuff. And it's that is literally the hardest thing to do.
Yes.
Change your talk.
Yes. It's so hard because again, like you said, like, I grew up in a religious cult as well.
Yeah.
And so you're brainwashed. Like you said,
Yeah.
you're damaged, you're broken, you're a sinner, you're this, and you're going to hell and all of these things. When you're little, your brain is forming. And when you're hearing these things, you think there's something wrong with me. Like I'm the problem. I'm the freak. I will never, yeah.
Right.
At 4, 5, 7, 9 years old. And this is how you spend your adolescence. Well, fuck.
How is it not going to create a monster?
Exactly. And then
because you're fighting everything to become a good person because you're not a good person. So you look like it's just like this fear of death and hell all the time. And like, I have to be perfect and I have to do all the things on the outside, but I feel like shit on the inside and everyone's telling me this. It's so hard.
It is. And you feel like a freak. You feel like there's something wrong with you. You see everybody else's life and you think, how do they have it so easy? How do they not feel the things I feel? It's me. I'm the fucking problem. And I didn't go into this in my story, but I've attempted suicide 3 times because I have felt like a freak. I have felt like I'm the fucking problem. And if I'm gone, the problem doesn't exist. And that is so wrong.
Yeah.
That is not the case. And I'm so glad my attempts were unsuccessful. I've never been so glad to fail at something in my whole life.
Well, I'm glad as well because you're important and I love you.
I love you. This is, and I think by, like we were talking about before we hopped on the podcast, these stories, these connections, humans are meant for connection. We are not meant to live alone. We're not. We crave, we need it as a basic human need to have connection. And through whatever series of traumas, whether it's religious upbringing or, traumas, big T's, small T's, we feel like we're the only person who feels this way, thinks this way, blah, blah, blah. But then when you start having these conversations, you're like, oh my God, I'm not alone. And that's the thing. We are never alone. It may feel like it in those deep, dark places. And that's why it is so important. This podcast that you're doing, sharing people's stories, having people be vulnerable and courageous and brave and authentic. This helps people not feel alone and to go, you know what? Fuck me, dude. This is how I feel too. And this is validation that it's not me. I'm not the fucking problem. We all have problems.
Yes, we do.
And it's important to fucking talk about them.
Brene Brown, I think, is the one that shares, what does she say? Like, shame dies when we start to tell our stories.
Yes.
It's so true. So true. It's really important, I think, especially as women, because we're taught to behave a certain way and look a certain way. And the expectations are there. So we're not supposed to be vulnerable. And we're not supposed to show our shit.
Can I tell you, my mother growing up was always, I call her Mary Poppins, just very prim and proper and like, she could pull anything out of her bag. But my mom always wanted me to be a lady. And so I grew up hearing that's not very ladylike. That's not very ladylike. Meanwhile, my dad is raising me more like a boy. Get in there and get dirty with sports, like fuck them up, kid. So I'm getting these mixed messages where I have to be a lady, but then I can also get on the sports field and get fucking angry. So I was like, I don't know what to do this. I don't know what to do. And like, I remember yelling at my mom as a teenager, and she said, well, that's not very ladylike. And I'm like, I'm not a fucking lady, Mom, and I'm never going to be a fucking lady. And of course I got, backhanded for that, using that word. But I feel like I was forced into this like role that is just not me. I'm not fucking prim and proper. I've always had the mouth of a sailor. At 5 years old in kindergarten, I got fucking expelled for a week because I kept saying fuck. Like, it's always been a problem. I'm never going to be quote unquote ladylike, whatever the fuck that means. But here, let's put you in a box over here. Then let's put you in another box. And let's put you in another box, and all these societal roles and upbringing. And it's like, no, how we don't all have mental breakdowns. I don't know. I think
we all do, but we just don't know that's what they are. I don't know.
Oh, I
haven't had one yet. You will be sometime.
That's right. They're good for you.
I think they are in some ways. Like my mom used to tell me something very similar too. But she would be like, Danielle, the Lord loves a meek and quiet spirit. And I'm like, well, I guess he doesn't love me because he didn't make me that way. And whatever, I guess he doesn't love me. And then like I told my parents later when we had a talk, I was like, I always felt like I was like the round peg and you guys were just trying to bang me, just get me in that square hole my whole life. And I'm just like, I didn't fit in either. And I always felt like something was wrong with me. I'm not a good Christian. I don't know what I'm doing. But I walked the walk and I was the perfect, well, not really perfect, but I appeared perfect on the outside for so long. And I had people like, even in my teen years, in the midst of my weird, culty, weird stuff that I was involved in, like stop and tell me, stop the negative talk, because I was always downing myself. And I've always been a bigger person most of my life. And so I looked like an adult woman when I was like 15, so I felt fat because all my friends were tiny. And so I'd always make comments about that or that I was ugly. I remember one time my guy friend just stopped and he's like, stop talking about my friend like that. And I was like, what? He's like, nobody thinks that. Why are you saying that about yourself? And I'm like, because I don't know. And so like, it took a long time for me to stop doing that. And I still fall into it sometimes, but it's important for people to tell us those things and call us out sometimes.
Yeah.
And that negative self-talk just goes so deep and it's so hard to overcome. And it goes back to our childhoods most of the time.
Yeah, it does. Because
Yep.
again, we're at such a young, impressionable age, and
Yep.
we think our caretakers, whoever that might be, are Superman,
Yeah.
right?
Well, they're
And
supposed to be.
yeah, and they walk on water, they can do no wrong, they're not
Yeah.
human. And that we kind of grow up as children, sort of idolizing them.
Mm-hmm.
And so, of course, we're going to take all of the things that they
Yeah.
say to heart.
Mm-hmm.
Our brains aren't formed enough to go, you know what? My parents might be human. My parents might be wrong. It's only in your adult years that you're like, fuck, dude. My parents were human. My parents have unhealed shit
Yeah.
that is generational trauma.
Yep.
Like, it's only as you grow up that you can step back and start to understand that. But guess what? That fucking foundation is poured.
Mm-hmm.
That foundation is laid, and it is fucking deep.
Yep.
However, it doesn't mean that you can't get a fucking bulldozer in there and
Yes.
fucking go to town on it,
Mm-hmm.
or take a pickaxe and chip away at it.
Yep. Whatever
But
you got to
it's a
do.
process. It's a process. And I feel like the healing journey is something, once you start it, it never stops.
Yes. There's so many layers to it.
It's like
you're like, oh, I think I'm good. Like I went to therapy for like 2 years and I'm like, no, there's another layer that's a little bit in there still. We got to keep going.
it is the never ending fucking onion. Honest to God, you heal, you peel, you heal, you fucking peel.
And you're crying while you're doing it. And
Yes.
but onions give flavor. So, it's important and it's so hard to do. But, you just sharing your story and having people call you out is important. And sometimes I think we all think that, again, nobody can identify with us and we're struggling and we don't reach out. And that's when things don't work out for us, or we get depressed, or we feel suicidal when we're not sharing. And it's super important. And I still feel like I fight all the time. Like, I'm doing fine. I don't need to share. I'm good. It's fine. But those
The
people
lies we
in
tell
my life,
ourselves.
yes, we have to still be vulnerable, even if we're doing okay. Even I'm like, I'm just not having a good day. I'm just feeling all my feelings today. And I'm a very, like you said, I'm a very empathetic, like empath kind of person myself. I've always had extremely big feelings too. And why do all of us become hairstylists? That's what I want to know.
I don't know.
Also, I think so many of us hairstylists have like some ADHD or full on ADHD.
Yes.
And it's so interesting to me.
Yes, because we're doing a million things at once and it satisfies our ADHD brain. And then also, because we do have big feelings, we know what it's like when somebody appreciates us, right? We know what it's like to look good, to feel good, and we want to give that to other people. So honestly, it's not surprising that a fuck ton of ADHD empaths go to hair.
I know, it was crazy, but I do think we get to make such a difference. And I think that's important. And especially even in our journey, because some of my clients have become some of my really close friends and we've shared stuff. I mean, people share some shit in your chair that you're just like, holy crap.
Oh, Lord, the shit that we're going to take to the grave, friend.
Yeah. And like some days it's just really intense and deep. And again, when it's like, when we're not sharing ourselves later, like that I think can eat away at us sometimes. Cause like,
oh my God, we end up taking it on, and nobody teaches us. We're not actual licensed therapists, right?
No.
Nobody teaches us how to handle these situations, how to take this energy, but then how to leave it behind the chair, not to take it home with us, not to take it out on our partner, not to take it out on our friends, our coworkers. We are not trained in that. And I know that destroys a lot of careers, a lot of relationships, because we are empaths. We get invested. We want to help people. If we don't fucking care about people or want to help people, we wouldn't be in this industry.
Yeah, seriously.
But we a lot of times don't have the tools to take care of our mental health, to prioritize our mental health. I literally will like put up an invisible bubble when I go into work. I'm like, this is my bubble.
Yeah.
I will hear you, but I'm not going to get that shit that you're laying down. It's going to bounce off my bubble. I can't because I let it consume me for years, and it's not healthy.
Yeah. So when I know you're still like in the middle of all of your healing and all that, we're all in the middle of that. What are some things that you're doing every day to, I don't know, combat all of your, like your eating disorder and just to like learn to love yourself and self-care and all that stuff? Like, what are some things you've incorporated since coming back that have been helping you?
I love this question. I never thought I would be a morning routine person or
Mm.
that bitch reading affirmations, but my morning routine is non-negotiable for me. And this started in treatment. And I knew that, again, if I wanted to come home and do things differently, I had to change things up. So
Mm.
I do not touch my phone until my morning routine is gone. I used to immediately wake up, go to Instagram, start getting pissed off at emails, and no, it just set my whole day to shit. So
Yeah.
now my morning routine is I get up, I go out to my patio, I have my coffee, I do a gratitude journal. It's a 2-page journal every morning,
Mm-hmm.
and I set my intention for the day. Since I started yoga teacher training recently,
Yeah.
one of our challenges is to meditate 20 minutes a day. No music, no nothing.
Oh my
I
God,
don't know
that's
if
so
you've
hard.
ever tried to sit in fucking silence for 20 minutes, friend.
I can't even do it for like 2.
Lord have mercy. That is testing my fucking soul. So
Yeah.
meditation is part of my morning journal or morning routine, non-guided now. It's 20 minutes of sitting in silence.
Mm-hmm.
I do a breath work meditation, a guided meditation. And then I do affirmation cards. And I have mental health affirmation cards. I also have body affirmation cards because for me, as someone who's lived with an eating disorder for 28 years of her life, I've always thought my body is the problem. I've always hated my body.
Mm-hmm.
I was too
Yep.
big, too little, too whatever the fuck I was too. I
Yeah.
was just too much.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got into drugs and alcohol because I hated my body and I didn't want to feel it. I didn't want to be
Yeah.
connected. I didn't want to have
Mm-hmm.
that mind-body connection. So my affirmations for my body are, I couldn't do positive affirmations in treatment. I thought they felt stupid. So I would say neutral, body
Yeah.
neutral. So, you know, my legs allow me to walk. My
Yeah.
hands allow me to have a good career. And now I'm like, I love my butt. My thighs are
Yeah.
strong. You know, I'm venturing from body neutrality into body love. And
Yeah.
eventually I will get into body positivity.
Mm-hmm.
That's my ultimate goal because it's not my body that's the problem. It
Mm-hmm.
never has been.
Yeah.
It never fucking will be. And a radical act of self-love in today's society is to love your fucking self.
Yes, it really is.
It's to love yourself unconditionally. It's to love your fucking body. Take up all the fucking space in the
Mm-hmm.
world that you fucking want with your body.
Yep.
Self-love is a big fuck you to the patriarchy, a big
Yep.
fuck you to societal fucking demands, diet culture. Go fuck yourself.
Exactly. And I think we all think that loving ourselves, you just all of a sudden you love yourself. But I talked about this with my other guest who was on the podcast, who's also had an eating disorder, and we were talking about body positivity and love and everything. It does start with body neutrality,
Yeah.
and then body acceptance.
Yep.
And then it can move into love. And that's kind of been some of my journey as well. Like, I just always thought I was so gross, so disgusting, so fat, so every single thing was gross about me. And I don't know, I think I don't remember what the turning point was. Honestly, I just started this journey of like learning to love myself. And so much of that came from, this is just my body. And I'm going to look at it in the mirror and
Yes.
try not to think any bad thoughts at all and just look at it. And then I'm like, I'm going to dress a certain way. Even if I feel uncomfortable, I'm still going to wear this today. And by the end of the day, I feel more comfortable. Like, it's just those little steps that you have to do to learn how to love yourself. And I think people are like, oh, well, I'm not like you. I can't love myself like that. I can't wear a crop top. I'm like, do you really think that I've worn a crop top my whole life? Absolutely not. No.
I think people think it's this, it's like a light switch. Like you decide to love yourself and all of a sudden everything's cool. It's like,
not even.
fuck no. I mean, even I'm sure for you, you even have days where as much as you love and accept your body, it's still like, fuck, you know what? I'm feeling fat today.
Yep.
So, okay. So that thought comes in. Instead of going, I am fat, it's like, I feel fat today. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So logically, did I gain X amount of weight overnight. Am I
Mm-hmm.
really that different?
Yeah.
Looking, fitting, do my clothes fit differently? Like all these things. So catching the thought
Yes.
and then turning that thought, shifting that thought. So it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have to go from, I feel fucking fat and disgusting today, to, oh my God, I love myself. I'm a beautiful
Yes.
princess queen. No,
Yes.
it can literally be like, I feel fat, but I am not going to allow that to
Mm-hmm.
dictate my day.
Yes. You have to feel the feeling and recognize what it is. And then you either accept it and move on, or like sometimes I'll be like, okay, I do feel fat and gross today. I'm just going to wear a comfy outfit. And I'm going
Yes.
to tell myself there's nothing wrong with being comfortable. I think also for me, for a long time, I felt like I always had to dress in flattering clothes because,
Mhm.
all my grandmas and my mother and everybody was talking about their bodies and, oh, you should have got that in black. Black is so flattering and so slimming, blah, blah, blah. And so I always felt like I had to dress a certain way. And now I'm like, if I want to fucking wear baggy pants and a big t-shirt, I feel cute today or comfortable, it's totally fine. And then tomorrow, if I want to wear a tight bodycon dress and high heels, then I can do that. But I dress according to my mood. And sometimes I want to wear leggings and that's fine. But you do have to feel those feelings and know what it is. Move on. Tomorrow is a new day. Tomorrow I might feel sexy as shit tomorrow, like, you just don't know. And I think as women, we fluctuate so much too,
Oh,
every day.
absolutely.
Hormones are a bitch.
Hormones, yes. I mean,
Terrible.
there's so much in a woman's body
Mhm.
that we are taught to hate.
Yes.
We are taught from a very young age that there's something wrong with our bodies. We're
Mhm.
not enough. We don't fit into these boxes. And we're taught that by our, bless their souls, our mothers, our grandmothers, our aunties, all
Mhm.
of this. It's a trickle down. And I think that there's a huge body positive movement happening right now, and it's really incredible to watch. And
Mhm.
we're realizing we don't have to keep passing down these generational
Yes.
curses. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to live, I'm going to take up space, I'm going to be in this body. And okay, you think I shouldn't wear this? Hold on, I don't give a fuck. I
Exactly.
don't care. I'm
Yeah.
going to wear this because it makes me fucking happy.
Yeah. Seriously. I mean, I bought one of your shirts at your show, or not your show, your class, your fuck your fear shirts.
Fuck your fear.
And I love wearing that shirt. I just love it. It's a good reminder because I felt like that too. And I just really, I love your motto. But
It's a
like,
good one.
it really is. And I mean, again, I think people ask me all the time, like, you just do all these things. I'm like, I literally had to force myself to do stuff. Like I was so shy and awkward and weird. I was a weird homeschool cult kid who like stood on the street corners, like witnessing and in front of abortion clinics. Like I did all of that stuff. I was a worship leader. I was a Sunday school teacher. I had nothing, no confidence, nothing. I just did the things. And so finally, when I got out of that, I'm like, I have to force myself to make eye contact with people, and especially men. I have to force myself to dress a way I want to dress and not flattering or whatever. And I have to force myself to go to a dance and touch a boy and go on a dating site. Like all of those steps that I took made me who I am. And because like people have shared with me and they're like, thank you for sharing that. Like, because you do this, like now I like to go to the gym. And I'm like, do you know how much I fucking hated the gym?
Yeah.
And the thought of going to the gym, I was not raised to be fit at all, but I was also, of course, told to, not be fat. Somehow I was supposed to magically do that when literally everyone in my family has disordered eating and all kinds of problems. Like, okay, I'm supposed to figure that out. So like, I had this struggle with the gym. Like, fuck the gym. I don't want to go. I hate this. And then I would go, and then like some skinny lady next to me would be like, woohoo, and like try to high five me. And I'd be like, fuck you, bitch. Like, don't even acknowledge me in here. Like, leave me alone. Don't talk to the fat girl at the gym. Like, oh my God, I had so much anger. And then like one day I was like, it's not about whoever everybody else. It's literally about me right now. Like I'm competing with myself.
Yeah.
This is for me. And I had to force myself to do that. So it's like when you're desperate, like you've shared, like you have to share and you have to go do it. You got to figure it out. Sometimes you can do it by yourself. Sometimes you absolutely cannot.
Yeah.
And it's really brave that you are able to, share with your people in your life and like reach out to them, or they had to reach out to you. So I think we all need to remember that it's brave to share.
It is.
Mhm.
I think Brene Brown says you can't have courage without vulnerability.
Yes. Yep.
And I think that is so true.
Yep.
For every instance that people say, oh my gosh, that's so courageous, it took being vulnerable. And the chance that it wouldn't have worked out the
Yep.
way it did. There was
Mm-hmm.
a chance that I was going to get fired from my 12th salon, that I was going to get a fucking divorce, that
Mm-hmm.
my life was going to fall apart, but I was vulnerable and I said, I can't do this. I need help.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, it didn't seem brave at all.
Yeah.
It seemed stupid,
Yeah.
but I was afraid and I did it anyway. And
That's the key.
that is the fucking key.
I was
That's the
afraid and I
fucking
did it
key.
anyways. Exactly.
That's it. Because
Yeah.
fuck your fear. Have
Mm-hmm.
that. Have your fucking fear. Have your feelings. And Jesus, fuck God, please feel them. Don't
Yes.
negate them.
Yes.
You have to acknowledge them.
Yes.
That's why I say, fuck your fear. Be afraid and do it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Nothing
we're
good
all
ever came
afraid.
from easy stuff.
Boom.
Ever.
No, if it were that way, shit. First of all, what fun would life be? I mean, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what adrenaline is being afraid and getting that feeling, which I hate, honestly.
Yeah.
But I have the adrenaline when it comes to like doing stuff, not jumping off a cliff. I don't know. You got to get it from somewhere, however you got to do it. But I think it's so important to share these stories with people, just to be like, look, she can do it, so can do it. Like, or whatever. Like, I think that's really important. I think it's really cool that you're doing the yoga training. I saw that and I was like, yes, loving this for you.
Yes. Yeah.
I've wanted to do that as well. I think at some point I will.
I think you should, if you have any interest. And to me, I don't give a fuck if I ever teach a yoga class. Honestly, that's not why I'm going into it. I'm going into it because for my whole life, I've been running from a mind-body connection.
Yes.
I've wanted to escape my body. And so
Mhm.
in treatment, I found yoga, and I used to be, an over-exerciser. And
Yeah.
so for me now, movement is joy.
Yes.
Movement is not me schlepping it at the gym because fucking Becky said I had to. It's
Yep.
me going to Pilates to get stronger. It's me doing yoga because I get to center myself. I get to
Yes.
focus on my breath. I get to focus on these movements. Like,
Mhm.
so I never thought I would fucking go to yoga teacher training ever. And what I'm finding is this is a huge piece of my recovery. This is for me to be present in my body,
Yes.
in my spirit, to heal a lot of wounds from the past, and to learn to fully accept and love my body and my journey and my story.
Yeah. And that's awesome. I think that's so powerful. And I think that we all forget those things. Like, our mind body connection is really important. We either feel all the feelings but don't recognize it or understand it, or our body hurts all the time. We don't know why. And I struggle with both of those things. And my therapist is always saying stuff like that. Like, where are you feeling this in your body right now? And I'm like, I don't fucking know. Everywhere hurts. I'm stressed everywhere. All of it hurts. And when I go do yoga and stuff like that, like, I'm able to breathe, and we realize we don't breathe enough. And I have not been doing yoga lately. And I really, or like something like yoga. And I feel like I'm craving it and I need it. So honestly, I need the accountability to do like a morning routine like you are doing, because I'm horrible at that. And I think a lot has to do with my ADHD brain. And I do it a little bit every once in a while. I have a few routines. I do not have the phone is not near me and I don't touch it routine.
Yeah.
That is like so hard. That's my addiction, pretty much.
Trust me, I was full blown addicted to my phone before I went into treatment. I think you probably know. I mean, I worked all the time on my fucking phone. The best thing that ever happened to me was going to treatment and
taking it away from you.
They took it away. And I was like, this is fucking bullshit. I got my phone for 2 hours a day at night.
Yeah.
My husband was already in bed by then because I was on Cali time.
Yeah.
So it forced me. And there are mornings, don't get me wrong, that I'm like, oh, I just want to snuggle with my puppy. And then I'm like, okay, you can do that, but you get 5 minutes and then you have to get up and you have to do your meditation. You have to do your gratefuls, because I know that when I don't do them, if something little goes wrong in the day, I'm a monster.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, fuck you. You cut me off in traffic. I'm going to fucking
Yeah.
murder your whole family. Right. When I start my day with intention, when I start it with me in my quiet,
Mm-hmm.
I don't react. I literally will respond. And that was such a huge turnaround for me, where I'm just like, I'm super fucking quick to react, and I'm angry. This helps me not be an angry fucking bitch, basically. My morning routine helps me not be a fucking raging cunt.
I love it. I'm gonna be. I really need to work on my morning routine. Not that I'm a raging cunt, but I can have my moments. I just feel like I'm not winning. I'm just like, I'm figuring it out as I go along, and I don't like that. And it's so hard for me to create a routine. So I know it's really important. So
it is. It's hard. It's hard to create one. I mean, like sometimes my morning routine, my bare minimum is my meditation, my gratitude journal. My long one is meditation, gratitude journal, breath work, card pull. I love doing affirmation and oracle card pulls. And then I walk myself through 5 sun salutations. That's my extended. So even at the bare minimum, I'm doing my gratitudes, I'm doing my meditation, I'm starting my day right. That's not fucking negotiable, no matter what. And it's taken me months to get there. It's taken me months. There were weeks where I was like, I would get 3 days and I would stop. But now I'm like, nope, absolutely not. Because I know I'm making a commitment to myself and I'm fucking important. And if I don't take care of myself, no one else is going to do it for me. This is inner work. This is shit that I have to do. And I'm going to fucking prioritize myself to do this, because it puts me in a good space to move throughout my day.
Yeah. Well, I think that's good. I'm going to work on that myself. So
yay.
Yeah. I was going to ask you like another thing. What did I write down here? How do you, as they say, fuck the haters? How do you get outside of that? Because like, I know we all have haters, and
of course
haters is just a broad term, but like when people are like, oh, maybe you should do this, or they make snotty comments on your Instagram, or they like tell you what to do. How do you, I don't know, what is the word what am I trying to ask you? How do you get outside of that and accept it and move on, or like not get angry, or just be like, no, I'm just going to brush that off? Like, you've been doing to work on that.
I used to get really upset. I would let it eat me up. People, for whatever reason, are super triggered by my nose. I don't know why.
I think it's a freaking cute nose.
It fits my face. You know what's funny is I got teased as a child for having a bird nose. I actually think it's one of my favorite features now. It's very strong. It's very defined. It makes me who I am. But I remember getting so much hate on Instagram. People would be like, oh, it's botched plastic surgery, Michael Jackson, the Humpty Dance dude. Like, and for a while I was like, fuck, dude, my nose is weird. My nose is weird. And then I'm like, wait, whoa, let's back up for a second. People that I don't know are talking about the way I look for a multitude of reasons. What I've learned is it has zero to do with me. Literally, it ain't got shit to do with me. Maybe their 2nd grade teacher who traumatized them had a fucking big nose, and my nose makes them remember that. Maybe they're insecure. Maybe there's a million fucking reasons that people want to give you advice. Don't wear that. You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't. And what it all boils down to is a place of insecurity, and they have not done healing work on themselves. Because I don't know about you, I would never tell somebody you shouldn't wear that. That looks bad. You look bad in that. That's ugly.
Yeah.
Your hair is stupid. Your nose is ugly. Fix your fucking teeth. No, never.
Right. It blows my mind sometimes. And it really does boil down to that insecurity and people wanting to hurt other people because they feel hurt. And I think when you start to do the work and you understand emotions and cycles and all that, then that's when you realize it. Because if you just let all these fucking assholes affect you constantly, that life isn't worth living then. Like, honestly, I've gotten so many comments on different things when I got my personal training certification, and I was like posting stuff online about working out, and they were like making all these comments about how fat whale I was. And I'm like, I'm literally hip thrusting like 405 pounds. So you can go fuck yourself. Sorry that you don't like fat people, but like, get over it. Like, what? But before I would have been like so upset about it. And I'm
Yeah.
like, whatever.
Because
About
you've
you,
done
not
the
me.
work. You realize hurt people, and it's not an excuse. I'm not excusing any of their shitty fucking behavior.
Yeah.
What it does is it helps me understand there's wounds there.
Yeah.
There's shit that this person isn't ready to dive into.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I love my parents, but my dad is a racist asshole. And I cannot be around that shit anymore. And I've told him
Yeah.
I will not tolerate that talk.
Mm-hmm.
My dad has a lot of unhealed shit that
Yeah.
he will never work through.
Yeah.
And that's his shit. My dad is grumpy. He's angry. He's mad at the world. You know, his life didn't turn out the way he thought because my dad has unhealed shit that he's not willing to dive into.
Same.
So not to say that people's comments don't get to me every once in a while. Because I would be lying if I said I'm totally immune. There are days where I'm like, ah, shit. 5 people told me my nose sucked. So that makes me feel like crap about myself. But I snap out and I'm like, you know what? Fuck that. These fucking bitches wouldn't have the balls to say it to my fucking face. And even if they did, if they said it face to face, I'd be like, you can eat a fucking dick, dude. Okay. Period.
Right.
Full stop. So
Yeah.
I think handling haters, handling, trolls, handling all that comes with time. It comes with a lot of healing work. And it really, you just have to realize it's not you. It has nothing to do with you. It's them. They're trying to distract from whatever shitty shit's going on in their life. So if for 5 seconds, they feel like out of their day, they can make a comment and get you to bite back. They feel important. They feel valued. They feel seen. They feel heard. They feel validated, understood, whatever the fuck it is. So I'll say thank you. If people leave shitty comments, I'm like, thank you. Thank you. Have a blessed day. That's my favorite because I fucking hate that. But I just don't let it get to me anymore. Because I've done the work.
Yep. And I think
Doing the
sometimes
work.
our family or maybe our friends can be some of our biggest trolls and haters.
100. For me, there's nothing that will fucking trigger me quicker than my fucking dad. I love him. Love him. He knows where to stick that screwdriver in and just crank.
Why? Is that a
And I'm like, you know what, Dad?
Oh my God.
I'm not going to engage.
Yeah.
I'm not going to engage. And I will say that until he gets so pissed. I'm like, I'm not going to engage. I'm not going to engage. I'm not going to engage. Well, I'm just playing. And I'm like, I'm not going to engage. They want it. They want to fight. They're looking for a fight.
Because they're so sad and hurt on the inside and they still don't understand their own selves. Like my dad didn't go quite that far, but there's nothing like a parent just doing the little pokes, just a little
pokey poke.
That's an interesting outfit choice. Oh, okay. Blah, blah, blah. Why would you do that tattoo? Why would you?
Why not?
Because of you.
Why not?
That's probably why. Exactly. Right. But I think it all comes down to that healing work, like you're saying. So I think that's really important. So, well, thank you so much for sharing your story. Like, I think it's, again, really powerful when we share our stories, and I just respect the shit out of you and I love you so much. And I never identified with somebody like a hair celebrity and you kind of are now. And I love that. And so I just want to say thank you because you made a difference in my life, because I feel like you really encouraged me to be more of my authentic self, even in just my business. And like, after your class, I started making all kinds of silly reels and I was like, oh my God, this is so, I hate it. I don't like it, but I'm kind of a goofy person anyway. So I'm like, all right, I'm just going to go for it. I don't really care. And like, it was kind of like a freeing thing for me. It didn't really do that much for my business necessarily, but my clients are like, you're so funny. I love your videos.
Yes.
I'm not doing it as much, but like, I don't know. It was just like a freeing thing for me. I'm like, I'm just going to go be stupid. Sarai can be stupid. Everybody loves her. Her videos are hilarious. But
this is your permission to be you. Like, whatever the fuck that is, if that's weird, if it's quiet, if it's just be you, that's your magic. When you are 100% you. I have people all the time who don't like me. Cool. I don't fucking care. You're not my people. Okay. My people like me for my weird, quirky, foul mouth fucking bullshit. Okay.
Exactly.
And honestly, I don't want to be liked by everybody because that means you're not doing something right. That
That's
means you're
true.
living in your comfort zone in a little fucking shell and you're not growing. So
Exactly.
no, thank you. Friend, thank you so much for having me on your podcast. It was an honor and I adore you. I think the world of you. And I'm just really fucking proud of you for doing this.
Thank you. I still don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm figuring it out as I go. And I'm like, I'm just
Hey,
gonna find the people and do the things.
here's a secret. No one knows what the fuck they're doing. Promise you.
Oh, well,
Promise
that's
you.
very good to know because I really don't. So thank you so much. All right. And you can find Sarai. Where can we find you?
I pretty much live on Instagram, the
Mhm.
Platinum Giraffe on Instagram. My website is www.platinumgiraffe.com. And you can email me at sarai@platinumgiraffe.com.
All right. Thank you. Well, hopefully we can have you on another time.
Anytime, friend.
Yes.
Anytime.
All right. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.